A short disclaimer before I review this facsimile here. So, no one's paying me to do this review and no one has asked me to do it. I also bought this facsimile with my own money way back when it was in Indiegogo. As for my background, I teach and train German longsword, so I know how a longsword is used in the German systems, but I'm personally not that into the Italian system, specifically the Fiore system. Sure, I have read through a translation of this manuscript a couple of times, but that hardly makes me an expert in the subject. So what actually is a facsimile? The word itself just means an exact copy. It's usually used to refer to books or manuscripts, as in this case, or other historical items. Though the definition is quite loose, as the word fax machine actually comes from, well, facsimile. The exact part is also a bit loose. For example, in this facsimile, the paper is not exactly the same as in the original manuscript. It only simulates it. I'll be talking more about this a bit later in the video. So let's take a closer look at this facsimile. Let's start with the specs. Back when I backed this project in Indiegogo, I paid, I think, $195 for this book. I think the current asking price is $200. This facsimile is printed on heavy paper to simulate the original parchment. So, as said, not a 100% accurate facsimile, as for the starters the paper is different. This facsimile is bound according to the current quire structure of the original manuscript. And notice, I said the current quire structure. The current version of the original manuscript has some pages that were removed and then later replaced, and sometimes in the incorrect places. And that current condition of the manuscript is what this facsimile replicates. The facsimile is bound in maroon kitskin, and it replicates the covers of the Estens versions bindings. As far as I know, the original covers and the bindings of the manuscript this facsimile is actually based on are a mystery, so it was not actually possible to replicate those for this specific facsimile. So the best second alternative was chosen. It also has 7mm thick cover boards, which are quite a lot thicker than what you would have on a modern book. The cover leather also has blind tooling on them. The original manuscript also has gold gilding for the sides of the pages, and it uses metallic inks for decorations on the images and a varnish on the initial letters. My facsimile doesn't have those, but those were an extra offering for those who wanted to pay the extra. I chose not to pay for those additions, as for me this was enough, but for those who wanted the extra historical accuracy, those were available for some extra money. The link to the Indiegogo profile is in the description, so you can go and take a look at the current projects they are having, and maybe they still have this as an additional offer on those projects. I think that at the time of filming this, that is the case, but when you are watching this, who knows? Go and take a look. So that was about the physical facsimile, but what about the contents? What is the original manuscript about? So the original manuscript is the Fior di Battaglia. It is an Italian fencing manuscript written by Fior de Liberi, possibly circa 1404. This facsimile reproduces the so-called Getty version of Fior di Battaglia. The name comes from the fact that it currently resides in the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, California. This facsimile is produced by HEMA Bookshelves, or more specifically by Michael Chadester. He's also the man behind the Victor Noah webpage. I have the Victor Noah link for this specific manuscript in the description, so you can go there and take a look at the contents of this book. For a really short description what this contains, it has the most extensive collection of Fiore's teaching known today. It has grappling, dagger, sword in one hand and in two hands, and in armor, and many others. As said, just go to the Victor Noah page of the manuscript and take a look for yourself. It really makes no sense for me to go through the contents of this when you can just go and look at them free online. So about the production quality of this facsimile. Firstly, this book is gorgeous. The leather is really nice quality and the blind tooling on the covers is extremely nice looking. The scans used to make this facsimile and also the print quality is really high. They are really sharp and good looking. The book itself feels really nice in hand. The first thing you notice is that it's quite heavy. It has heavy paper and thick covers, so you can really feel the extra material. As said, the leather on the covers is high quality and feels really nice in the hand, and so does the paper. It really has a different texture to what you would find on a modern book. All in all, the quality on this facsimile is really high, and the way it is produced makes it to have a very specific feel in the hand, and that really makes it a joy to flip through the book. So, what is this facsimile for? I see this as a collectible item. This is a rather expensive limited run book, which is perfect for, well, collecting. However, that is not what I think and what I think the HEMA Bookshelf states to be the actual purpose of this book. The idea of a facsimile like this is to give you a look into the age in HEMA, that being the historical part in historical European martial arts. The original manuscripts are quite rare and they are quite destructible. So, in the first place, most people don't have access to an original manuscript, and if everyone had the possibility to actually go and handle them, they probably would not last very long. What a facsimile like this makes possible is for your average person to go and handle something very similar to those original manuscripts. I think this is very valuable in the HEMA community. It allows us to have a nice look into where the art we study actually comes from. What I really don't see this being for is your average HEMA training. Firstly, all the information here is already available online for free. It is also translated to English, so most people can actually understand it. The book itself, or the original manuscript, is actually written in Old Italian, and it most definitely does not use a modern typeface. So, if you can actually understand the Italian this is written in, just reading it is quite a pain because of the handwriting. As of such, this is not really a, in my opinion, good way to study the historical sources. It's way easier to just go and buy a translation or a transcript or go online and look for those two there instead of using a facsimile like this. In other words, having this version doesn't make you any better Himaist in the sense of being able to fence better. You get all the same information in more accessible forms elsewhere. Then the conclusions. In my opinion, this is a very high quality facsimile of an extremely important historical manuscript. And that's from a person who doesn't actually even study the FIORE system. For most people, this is also historically accurate enough, and probably even more so, to give a good feel for what the original manuscripts are like. However, if you are very pedantic with your historical accuracy, understand that this might not be for you. Don't take that as an insult on the facsimile or the people who think this is not historically accurate enough. It's not one. In my opinion, even my version, which is the cheapest one, is a good reproduction of the original manuscript, and it's probably good enough for most people. And if you want a more accurate one, you can get it, but it will cost basically the double. For the more expensive version, the price didn't make a big enough difference for me to pay the extra. Sure, it would have been better and more historically accurate, and I know for certain that I would have loved the more expensive one. I just couldn't justify buying it for myself. If it was something in the German system, maybe then, because that's what I practice and teach, but not for this specific book. And also, as already said, even the better or more accurate version of this is basically double the cost of this version, so the price skyrockets quite fast. And that doesn't have parchment paper used for the pages themselves, so using parchment for the actual pages would make it extremely expensive. So having a more accurate version is possible, but it would make this unavailable for most people. However, I do understand the people who would rather pay significantly more for a 100% accurate facsimile. After all the information in this facsimile is already available for free. As such, if you really want or need a 100% accurate facsimile, this doesn't bring you anything the information online already brings you, as this is not 100% accurate. So is this worth the price? In my opinion, absolutely. This is a very high quality facsimile, and just the materials used and the work it makes to produce one justify the price, at least in my mind. The covers are high quality leather and they are plain tooled. The paper is of a really high quality, and the scans and the prints are really well done. All in all, I think this is easily worth the asking price. So should you actually buy one? Maybe. Depends. As already said, if you just want to spend your money effectively for your HEMA training, in the sense that you want to have the best equipment for learning HEMA, this should be somewhere near the bottom of your shopping cart. All the information is already available for free, so this doesn't make you a better HEMAist in any way. If you are interested in the historical part of HEMA, I think this is invaluable. This gives you the tactile feedback of handling an original manuscript. For whom I think it makes the most sense to actually buy one of these is actually HEMA clubs. That way, you can buy one of these, and possibly one of the more expensive versions even, and this allows all of your students or the members of your club to actually get the possibility to handle and read a facsimile which is quite close to the original manuscripts. This also makes sense in the sense that, as said, this is a limited run edition, so it is not possible for every person to actually own one, even if they had the money. If a club buys one of these, it allows for the greatest amount of people to experience one of these facsimiles. From a collector's perspective, I can very much appreciate this facsimile just as a physical item. If you are like me and you just like the feel of a physical book and you would never even think about buying an e-reader, because who would want to read a book from a digital screen, this is definitely for you. And even if you're not actually interested in this manuscript, as I would say I'm not, I have a passing interest in this as it has longsword stuff in it, but I'm not a student of the Italian system or the Fiore system of longsword fencing. I still got this because I appreciate the facsimile as a book. It looks great, it feels great, and I think just as a person who likes books, this is a great purchase. If you are specifically a historical collector, in the sense that you either buy antiques or very close reproductions of antiques, then you have to make your own mind if this facsimile or the other versions of this facsimile are historically accurate for you. I can't really make the decision for you. So, that was my review of the Fior di Battaglia facsimile from HEMA Bookshelves. So as I said, the link to the Indiegogo profile for Michael Chidester is in the description. I highly recommend that you go and take a look of their current projects and maybe back one. And you can also take a look if they still have this or some of the other older facsimiles available as part of these new projects. Once again, I am in no way associated with HEMA Bookshelf or Victor Nauer. This is just my personal recommendation, as I think that the work they are doing is very, very valuable for the HEMA community in general. So, if you enjoyed this video, go and click the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. See you next time.